Okay guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. All right, everyone, I'm back. It's Monday, August 24th, and it is 10:26 p.m. I know, I'm getting a late start. I think I'm going to have t-shirts and mugs with that on it. I'm getting a late start. It's the story of my life. All right, well, let's jump over here. Not literally. I mean, you can stay seated. And we can take a look at the news. Now, this I got a couple people to thank here, and we've got Common Sense, love that name, Common Sense, donated via coffee. Thank you very much. Also picked up 2 new Patreon subscribers, and that's always good news. Roland Belstead, I hope I pronounced your name right. I've got this thing for pronouncing names wrong. And Jean-Pierre. So those are 2 new Patreon subscribers, and snail mail. I've got some snail mail today. I just checked the mail, and what a happy day it was, because I love getting mail, and you can't stop me from loving getting mail. Now, Marie Ann, and I think her last name starts with a G. I'm sorry. It's your handwriting. I just couldn't. I'm sorry. Anyway, she sent a lovely card, note, and donation. Thank you so much. And Mishel from California, well, that's a name I probably won't forget. She sent a card and note, very, very sweet note. And Sharon D from Massachusetts, she sent a card and donation. And Gina P from Georgia sent a very nice letter and donation. So that was a fun day. Love getting mail. I don't know, it just reminds me of the good old days when people sent mail. Anyway, all right, let's get into the news, shall we? All right, now let's look at this. All right, water levels. Now this has to do with the Three Gorges Dam. It is the biggest dam in the world. It's the biggest hydroelectric dam in the world as well. And well, they have said that if that dam breached, it would literally pause the Earth's rotation for a second. I mean, not like we would really feel it, but yeah, that is a powerful, powerful dam. And it has been kind of tenuous. We keep hearing that it's just about to go, and it really is not a good situation from what I understand. Apparently underneath the dam is giving way. So water levels hit record at Three Gorges Dam. Chongqing residents forced to evacuate. Now this was the 22nd, so this is 2 days ago. It's a little bit late, but it's still pertinent. Residents in the Chinese cities of Chongqing and Wuhan had to flee when the 5th flood peak on the Yangtze River arrived at the Three Gorges Dam. Now, this is not going to be good, and the areas that it's flooding are manufacturing areas and food production areas, so it's really going to affect the food production in China, which is going to affect the whole world because everybody seems to get things from China, and the manufacturing, having that shut down as well is not good. So the water coming into the dam reached 75,000 cubic meters per second on the morning of August 20th, the highest level since the dam was commissioned in 2003. Water levels and flood volume in the Yangtze River Zhongqing section, which is immediately upstream of the dam, both exceeded the previous historical record set in 1981. In the Riverside districts, residents who live on the first and second floors were required to evacuate. Now, when water gets up to the second floor, yeah, that's pretty serious. The dam opened 11 spillways to discharge water at a record speed of 49,200 cubic meters per second, as downstream Wuhan issued an orange alert as more rainstorms were forecasted. And they can't seem to catch a break in terms of rain. It just keeps raining and raining and raining. So they may have to soon build an ark. I don't know, but things aren't looking good there at all. And there would be a lot of people. I think they said 11 million would immediately be affected if that breached. So they keep trying to open spillways, and they're flooding lands as they do that. It's flooding more area, but they're trying to ease the pressure on that dam. But in the meantime, they're causing more flooding for the people, for the land, for the crops, everything else. It's not a good situation. And I know there's a lot of people that say, well, so what? That's way over there. Yeah, well, it does affect us. And on the other hand as well, they are people just like us. I mean, just because we don't agree with their government, it doesn't mean that we should wish them harm as people. So there you go. All right, well, let's move on now, because we can, and we will. So let's look at this. Now, let's look at this little piece of, well, I don't know what to call this. Democrat who released nude photo of 13-year-old girl drops out of race. Well, I should think so. Let's see here. So Democrat Aaron Coleman, whose primary victory in a Kansas State House contest drew national attention to the 19-year-old after it was learned that he had posted nude pictures of a 13-year-old girl online, has announced he is dropping out of the race for the 37th legislative district seat. After announcing his resignation Sunday, Coleman called those criticize him sick and unhappy people on Twitter and mocked the compassionate left for commenting upon the past actions he has admitted to, including bullying, revenge porn, and blackmail. Yeah, not the kind of person you want in, any sort of position, governmental position at all. And says the Democrat has also said he would giggle if a former Republican state legislator who is now a radio host were to die from COVID-19. What a nice guy. Yeah. Revenge porn, bullying, blackmail, posting pictures of a nude 13-year-old online, and giggling, at the thought of a former Republican state legislator dying of COVID. Yeah, he's a nice guy. Last Monday, Coleman was declared the winner of the 37th district race against incumbent Democratic state representative Stan Fraunfelter. Well, there's a name for you, Fraunfelter. It's almost as good as Papadopoulos, but nothing could ever compare to Papadopoulos because I love saying that name, Papadopoulos. All right. Anyway, Representative Stan Fraunfelter, 823 votes to 809. That result brought his past to light as the Kansas City Star and the New York Times chronicled incidents that Coleman did not deny. The past incidents brought a wave of publicity to which Coleman responded by announcing his departure from the race. He's a whining, sniveling malcontent. That's what he is. Yes. I'm dropping out. You people are saying things about me that are true. I'm quitting. I'm taking my pots and pans and I'm going home. There you go. He is the poster boy for whining, sniveling malcontents everywhere. After talking with my family and my supporters, I've made the decision to withdraw as the Democratic nominee for HD 37 so I can focus on caring for my family. He's 19 years old. How much caring for his family is he doing? Give me a break. Now our party can pick a new nominee, he tweeted. After talking with my family and my supporters, I've made the decision to withdraw as the Democratic nominee for HD 37 so I can focus on caring for my family. Well, isn't that special? The phone calls of those who have voted for me in the primary have started to come in, and I'm filled with regret. They all say essentially the same thing. I promise change, even now, but I'm sure they realize I'm promising when I cannot deliver, Coleman said. Well, obviously he can't deliver. Yeah. And he's only sorry because he got caught. So my analysis is this is a defeat for democracy. No, I think, really, I think he thinks a little bit more of himself than perhaps he should. This is a defeat for democracy. I'm a 19-year-old and I'm withdrawing. It's a defeat for democracy. Give me a break. The voters have spoken and continue to speak to me about staying in the race. All I can say is whoever the Democratic nominee is for House District 37, it wasn't who the voters selected. I apologize to everyone who voted for me, he said. Well, I'm sorry for the people that voted for him as well. So there you go. Now that I have dropped out of the race, I hope the circular firing squad of the left will take a breather and get to work stopping my misogynist former opponent from getting back into a position where he can vote again to put women in prison for having an abortion, etc., etc., the Democrat said. Oh, give me a break. So there you go. There's a snot-nosed 19-year-old who is a whining, sniveling malcontent. And there you go. So I don't want to read anything more of his crap. Do you? Of course you don't. Let's move on. All right. Now, let's look at this. And I really do feel bad for Melania because she can't catch a break. Doesn't matter what she does. They criticize her. They put her down. Really, you know, as wife of the president, as First Lady, and as has to be one of the world's most beautiful women, why shouldn't she be on every magazine in America? Really? I mean, the last First Lady wasn't even a lady, and she was on magazines everywhere. So anyway, let's take a look at this. First Lady Melania Trump was the victim of xenophobic attacks over the weekend because of her choices in a White House Rose Garden revamp. That's right, the so-called tolerant left viciously attacked Trump, a Slovenian immigrant who became a U.S. citizen in 2006, for having the audacity to cultivate the flora in the garden to her particular taste. How dare she? Excited to honor history and celebrate the future in our beautiful White House Rose Garden this evening, the First Lady's White House account tweeted Saturday with photos of the freshly updated garden. Thank you to all who helped renew this iconic and truly gorgeous space. So these are the pictures, and let's take a boo at them. Well, I guess it's walking here. Not exactly sure why this is so slow. Not sure at all. Well, it says I'm connected here. Well, that's not my, I don't know what I'm doing here. Yeah, I'm connected. So I don't know, but apparently it doesn't want us to look at these for some reason. So these are the pictures, and let me see. The renovation was planned to upgrade and repair infrastructure, adding a paved walking path for better accessibility for people with disabilities and beautifying the garden with a focus on restoring it to its original 1962 glory that was First Lady Jackie Kennedy's vision. The Rose Garden was established by First Lady Ellen Axon Wilson in 1913 during her husband President Woodrow Wilson's time in office, and became a prominent space for political affairs after Kennedy's overhaul. Isn't it interesting that they are taking it back to the way it looked when First Lady Jackie Kennedy was there? And I don't know if you saw this today, but Barron Trump posted on Twitter. Now, again, I don't know if this is Barron Trump or not. It appears to be, but who knows with the way but I would think they would take it down if it really wasn't him. But he said he posted, I think it was today, that John JFK Jr. is alive. So I don't know. And he made it sound like we would be seeing him soon. So I guess we don't have long to wait, do we? Because if he's alive, we should know very, very soon. All right. He also said that JFK Jr. is Q. Now, I think Q is a team of people, but wouldn't surprise me if he is alive that he would be part of that. But that is a very big if. I would say that there is a lot of evidence to suggest that he may not have died. And I know it sounds crazy and out there, and that's why I'm careful about saying it to too many people. But I am under the impression that there is a great deal of evidence to support that. And there's some evidence that doesn't support it as well. So I don't know. Until it happens, I don't think any of us will know for certain. Okay, so despite Trump's desire to restore the garden to its original beauty, the barrage of hatred swiftly rained down on her because as President Donald Trump's wife, she surely must have had racist intent when selecting plants, so the leftists say. Yes, I'm sure she, wherever she got the plants, she probably asked, would you be able to supply me with the most racist plants that you have, please? Yes, I'm sure that was the conversation. Right. So, and it says here is someone by the name of Stone Cold. That's a good name for him. Oh, look at Melania's renovated rose garden at the White House. Does anyone see how the small bushes spell KKK in rose? No, they don't spell KKK. In fact, if anything, that is an R. You whining, sniveling malcontent. And Ana Navarro said, this woman, in March, as pandemic began, it was a tennis pavilion, now as 175,000 and climbing. American lives and millions of livelihoods have been lost. She unveils new and not improved rose garden. She cut down Jackie's trees. I hope Dr. Biden returns it to the way it was. Before and after photographs of newly renovated White House rose garden. So, okay. Well, you know what? Get over it. People don't like it. Oh, well. You know, the next person in office, whenever that is, and I hope it's not anytime soon, can, you know, put it back if they want. All right? But while she lives there, she can do it. Okay, Melania will now be known as the Kobalisha, Slovenian for locust. She'll now be known as the locust. That's awful. Chopping down the cherry trees because they're symbols of honesty, replacing the multicolored flowers because they're symbols of diversity, sidewalk installed because 45 can't walk on grass, don't want them falling over into the white-only flower bed. Whoever wrote that is obviously blind because there are still colored flowers in there. They're just not in bloom right now. So, and here, Melania Trump, a foreigner who got into this country illegally. No, she didn't get into this country illegally at all. And can still barely speak English. That is awful. A former soft porn model has destroyed a century of American history in her Rose Garden massacre. Boy, some people are just drama queens. Drama queens. Really. I think she speaks English just fine. She does so with an accent, which this person probably isn't smart enough to figure out. In fact, she speaks 5 languages. Wonder how many languages this person speaks. I'm guessing 1. Yeah, and she didn't come here illegally at all. She was here as a model. She was here legally working when she met Donald Trump. Gabby Pink said, Rose Garden Massacre at FLOTUS, the illegal immigrant destroyed the White House Rose Garden. She had no right to dismantle the historical garden. In words of racist in chief, go back to where you came from. False immigrant porn star has no right to destroy 50 years of first ladies. Well, here's the thing. Isn't it funny how the left, they're all for illegal immigrants. Oh, they want to give them everything, don't they? But you've got a legal immigrant as the first lady, and what do? They denigrate her and call her illegal. Yeah, would it matter if she was Democrat? Oh, heck yeah, it would matter. Oh, she'd be great then. They'd love her. One of the worst attacks came courtesy of longtime New York Times reporter Kurt Eichenwald, whose remarks were so vicious his own establishment media colleagues chastised him for making them, at least out loud. It is a destruction of our history, something no other First Lady would have had the gall to do, Eichenwald wrote Saturday in a since-deleted tweet, according to Fox News. This is the first time I've been furious that the FLOTUS is a foreigner. She has no right to wreck our history. Oh, give me a break. Someone who has only been a citizen for less than a third of her life should revert to America's history, should honor our history, not decide her personal taste, should rip it up, he wrote in another tweet. I guess they didn't read the part where she made it look as it did in 1963 when, or was it 1962, when the First Lady, Jackie Kennedy, was there. Yeah, so how is that destroying history? Don't know. Anyway, the best-selling author of A Mind Unraveled and ironically winner of the 2006 Ansel Payne Award for Ethics in Journalism was forced to apologize for his remarks by his fellow leftists from Al Jazeera and CNN. It has to be embarrassing when folks from those outlets say you went too far. This is a horrible anti-immigrant take, Kurt, and you should delete it and apologize. Journalist and Al Jazeera presenter Mehdi Hassan tweeted, hang on here, agree, Kirchenwald, this is, at Kurt Eichenwald, this is xenophobic and wrong. It's bigotry. CNN's Jake Tapper chimed in, and he said, agree, this is xenophobic and wrong. It's bigotry. So, and which we just read. All right. And also said citizen is citizen, period. How long is irrelevant. Scoring Americans on that scale is xenophobic. And I would agree with that. Eichenwald tweeted an apology Sunday, but blamed poor wording, knowing he would be excused in a way that nobody on the right ever could. People may have misunderstood my point about Melania being a foreigner and ripping up plants put in place by almost 100 years of first ladies, he tweeted. It was a complex point, and I was wrong to say it. My point was people who come to America should celebrate its history, not ignore it. How is she not celebrating the history by returning the garden to its former glory when the Kennedys had it? Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what she would have done. It's wrong. It's always going to be wrong. And down here, he says, I deleted the tweets. I did not have the ill intent they seem to have conveyed to so many. I should be more careful in what those types of words seem to imply. We all fail in our words at times. This was one of my times. I apologize. But that's really not an apology, is it? He's not apologizing. He's just saying, oh, I worded it wrong. Yeah, that's not an apology at all. The objections to the First Lady's renovations are irrational and ridiculous, as those who lamented that trees planted decades ago were removed are apparently painfully unaware that they are living things that don't last forever. Yeah. So, and the layout that supposedly used the initials for the Ku Klux Klan is clearly just a stylish zigzag. Those flowers that are so offensive because of their whiteness, they're actually roses planted in honor of Pope John Paul II, and given that the First Lady is Catholic and that the late Pope was an outspoken ally of the U.S. in the fight against communism, are instead appropriately relevant. Or reverent, rather. Finally, considering that the renovations were paid for through private donations, this would otherwise be a non-story had it not thrown leftists into hysterics about racist dog whistles and dastardly immigrants ruining America, as Eichenwald and others implied. The left has become a parody of itself as it begins to believe its own nonsense about Trump being a white supremacist, maybe assuming the New York native, who was a public figure and real estate mogul for decades, successfully hid his racism from view all that time. Yeah, that was quite a... Their paranoia has driven them to insanity as they look upon a garden and see hidden messages spelled out in the bushes and white nationalism expressed in rose petals, all while simultaneously uttering xenophobic, hateful things about the First Lady themselves. Seeing such rampant paranoia, hypocrisy, and racism among leftists, it's starting to make sense why they've chosen former Vice President Joe Biden and California Senator Kamala Harris to be the Democratic ticket in the 2020 presidential election. Yes, I can see why. All right, let's move on now, because we should really move on. All right, and let's look at this, which is absolutely revolting. It's sickening. Looters steal firefighter's wallet while he's battling wildfire. Are you kidding me? I'm beginning to think there is just no sense of decency left in the world at all. Really. I mean, when I grew up, yes, there were dishonest people, but they were few and far between. And when somebody gave you their word on something, that was their word. They kept it. I just don't understand where we are just falling into degradation so quickly. And no, it's not everyone. There are still decent people out there, but all we see is these types of people. Terms such as lowlife, sickening, and absolutely disgusting behavior were being bandied about by veteran public safety officials who have seen it all after they learned a firefighter's wallet had been stolen while he was helping direct the battle against a California wildfire. After the firefighter was robbed, his credit cards were used and his bank account was drained. Isn't that lovely? A firefighter out risking his life to save others, to stop the spread so that, to save people's property and their lives, and they steal his wallet, use his credit cards, and drain his bank account. Lovely. It's unfortunate, it's sickening that one of our fire ground commanders, while out taking care of business and directing firefighting crews, somebody entered his department vehicle and stole his wallet and drained his bank account. California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection Battalion Chief Mark Brunton said in a Sunday media briefing, according to KRON TV, that's the extent these people have gone, Brunton added. According to USA Today, again, this is why we've asked for people to evacuate. The Sheriff's Department has done a fantastic job in trying to wrangle this, but again, this is what we have as a result. And, the thing is, it's so sad because a lot of these houses, the people evacuate and the looters come. So they have a tough job, both the sheriffs and the firefighters, and I don't think that these fires are, just organic fires either. All right, so the CZU lightning complex fires cover more than 70,000 acres in San Mateo and Santa Cruz counties. And let's take a look at this, what it's like driving through a wildfire at night. Let me make it bigger for my tiny phone people. Look at that. Could you imagine? That would be terrifying. Really terrifying, if you ask me. I think it would be scary because you wouldn't know if there's more fire up ahead and if you're going to have to turn around or if you're going to get caught. I think that would be absolutely terrifying, and I'm glad I've never had to live through something like that. But if you are a believer, you should pray. I mean, I shouldn't tell you what you should do, but consider praying for the people of California because this is unbelievable. A spokeswoman for Santa Cruz County Sheriff Jim Hart said the theft took place either late Friday or early Saturday at the Bonnie Doon Fire Department. The vehicle from which the wallet was stolen was clearly marked as a California fire vehicle, Hart said. The sheriff said he can't imagine a bigger lowlife. To me, it's just mind-boggling that somebody would have the audacity to do something like that, he added. Hart said families are telling authorities that the firefighter who was victimized is not alone. What we're hearing from the community is that there's lots of looting going on, he said, according to the Washington Post. It takes a special person to wake up in the morning and say, you know what? I'm going to go victimize and traumatize people who have already been through everything this community has been through, Hart went on. Chief Deputy Chris Clark with the Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Office called the theft absolutely disgusting behavior. I can't believe that somebody would actually have the nerve to break into a firefighter's vehicle or enter their vehicle to steal something from them when they're there to protect the community. Honestly, it blows me away, he said at a media conference CNN reported. Hart predicted a grim future for the thief. Well, let's hope they do have a grim future and that they're caught and held accountable. I'm confident we're going to find the person. When we do, we're going to keep him in the county jail. and then we're going to hand that case over to the DA, and the DA is going to hammer this guy, he said. Generally, the district attorney and myself have a lot of empathy for most people, but I have no empathy, I have no patience for somebody who's going to come into our community and steal from people who have been evacuated and victimized and traumatized. Well, I couldn't agree more. It's disgusting. All right, and let's look at this. Well, this is from today, hot and fresh. Kellyanne Conway's daughter rants against her parents for quitting their jobs before consulting her. Well, I got news for you, Claudia Conway, you whining, sniveling malcontent. You're 15 years old, and it's none of your business whether your parents quit their jobs or not. I'm just saying. Kellyanne Conway's daughter just went off on her parents on Instagram after finding out her mom and dad, George Conway, quit their jobs. Claudia Conway, the 15-year-old daughter of Kellyanne and George, has been getting tons of press lately because she announced she wants to be emancipated from her parents. She is openly anti-Trump and is being celebrated by the leftist media for her views. This was fueled by her anti-Trump father, who approved and encouraged the teen to bash the president on social media. Well, you know what? If she wants to be emancipated from her parents, well, then she should have to, find a place and pay for it herself and put herself through school or whatever she wants to do. I mean, emancipation is emancipation, right? You don't get emancipated from somebody just so that they can pay your bills for you. Yeah, someone should tell her that. Might change your mind. Kellyanne Conway's teen daughter told Insider in a June 30th article that she respectfully declined her mom's request to delete a number of viral anti-Donald Trump videos she posted on TikTok, gaining hundreds of thousands of views and headlines in the process. Though she's been posting off and on since 2015, 15-year-old Claudia Conway only found herself in the spotlight in late June after people began sharing clips from her TikTok on Twitter, revealing another political divide within the Conway family. Claudia's dad and Kellyanne's husband, 56-year-old attorney George T. Conway III, regularly assails Trump online and helped found a conservative political group aimed at defeating him. I feel so sorry for Kellyanne Conway, I really do. The teen, who, according to Insider, was interviewed with the permission of her dad, who was also present, described herself as 100% leftist and liberal and detailed why she declined her mom's request to delete her videos. I'm not going to because I think I have the right to my own freedom of speech. If she works for Trump, she works for Trump, Claudia told Insider, adding, "My dad thinks it's awesome that I'm speaking for myself and expressing my views." In the video below, Claudia explains how mad she is that her parents didn't consult with her before they quit their jobs. It's clear this teen needs some therapy and a wake-up call. Yeah, big time. She is spoiled rotten. Can you imagine? Yeah, if that was my daughter, 15 years old, and I asked her to delete something from her Facebook or whatever it was, TikTok, whatever, oh, it would be erased. Oh, I guarantee you that. What a train wreck. Kellyanne Conway's daughter goes off on Instagram. Okay, well, we already know all that. Anyway, like father, like daughter, and, well, can't argue with that. But, yeah, I would say that she's pretty much a little spoiled brat right now, and she needs some tough love. Tough love. Now, I'm not talking about beating her either, or anything like that, or harming her in any way, but she does need tough love. Oh yeah, taking away their cell phones and things like that tends to work wonders. Their computers, yeah. All right, well, let's go here. Can't remember what this is. Oh yes, I know what it is now. Let's take a look. Nolte, add Kenosha to growing list of Democrat-run cities engulfed in violence. Oh great, another city. Yeah, it just keeps growing, and funny how they're all Democrat. You never hear of this happening in a Republican-run city, do you? I'm just saying, I'm just pointing that out. All right, let's take a look at this. After an officer-involved shooting Sunday night, the city of Kenosha, Wisconsin became the latest in a long line of Democrat-run cities engulfed in violence. Democrat Mayor John Antaramian, okay, let's just call him John A, okay? Does that work for everybody? Ran the city from 1992 to 2008. Obama supporters and presumed Democrat. I can't find a record anywhere of his official party affiliation. Keith Bosman took his place and served as mayor for 2 terms until 2016. And John A., yeah, that guy with the really hard to pronounce last name, ran and won again in 2016, which makes him the current mayor. So Kenosha appears to have been run by Democrats going back as far as 1992, almost 30 years. It is also seen in many ways as a suburb of Chicago. Milwaukee might be 20 miles closer, but Milwaukee suburbs are primarily west and north of that city. Kenosha is right on the Wisconsin border and right on the major interstate I-94 that will get you into downtown Chicago in about an hour and into the Chicago suburbs even sooner. Kenosha is a city of about 100,000 that sits right next to Lake Michigan, and now, like Portland, Seattle, Milwaukee, Chicago, Minnesota, St. Louis, New York, Oakland, etc., 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 it is ground zero for mindless arson, rioting, and looting. All of this broke out before any of the facts are known, and with mainstream left-wing activists like Shaun King publicly cheering it on. Well, yeah. What we do know is that a black man, Jacob Blake, was apparently shot in the back 7 times by a Kenosha police officer. Well, that seems like overkill. The video that appears to capture the event shows Blake seeming to defy the officers who follow him with guns drawn as he walks around the front of a minivan, opens the door, and starts to either get inside or grab for something. We don't know if there was a weapon in the vehicle. We don't know if the officer who shot Blake feared there was a weapon. Nevertheless, despite these crucial unknowns, Kenosha still experienced a night of mayhem, and if past is prologue, this is only the beginning of the destruction of a small city few had even heard of before last night. Is this the future in Democrat-run cities? It seems to be, doesn't it? Seems to be, oh, I hate this word, but the new normal. I don't know, what was wrong with the old normal? Are these cities so mismanaged that one mistake or one perceived mistake or even a single act of unconscionable criminality, if that ends up being the case, by a single police officer means your entire city is going to burn down, will be under siege for months and months by the left-wing terrorists and Antifa and Black Lives Matter? And then there's the lingering Ferguson effect, the increase in violent crime that appears to follow these riots, which is what appears to be happening in Chicago and New York right now. Who wants to live like that? Who wants to live in a tinderbox where one incident, regardless of the motive behind it, sets off the equivalent of a slow-motion bomb in your own community? But this is what happens when you elect Democrats. Wisconsin just fired Republican Governor Scott Walker and replaced him with the Democrat Tom Evers. And what was Evers' first reaction to the shooting? Did he call for calm? Did he ask for everyone to wait for the facts? Did he promise to protect citizens and property in Kenosha? No, he immediately justified the rioting and looting against his own citizens with obscene tweets like this one. While we do not have all the details yet, what we do know for certain is that he is not the first black man or person to have been shot or injured or mercilessly killed at the hands of individuals in law enforcement in our state or our country. And for this one, we stand with all those who have and continue to demand justice, equity, and accountability for black lives in our county. And this one, and we stand against excessive force, use of force, and immediate escalation when engaging with black Wisconsinites. Finally, what we have with Kenosha is the Democrats' violent socialist revolution, which was already creeping into residential areas, officially spreading from big cities and into places like Kenosha, a quiet little burg, a place where such things seemed impossible only a few months ago. The left-wing terrorists are coming for us. For all of us. We know this because they have said so, and only a fool would not take them at their word. If Kenosha is not safe from this organized terrorism, from the Democrat-approved terrorism, from this media-approved terrorism, no one is. Well, I would agree with that, and I think we are going to be seeing more and more of this, especially as we are leading up to the election. We're going to see more of this, and probably in places where you'd least expect it, because I think that they are wanting to, export their terrorism from the big cities and into the smaller cities where people will, where, you know, you just don't expect that in a small town. That's usually why you move somewhere like that. They're quiet, great places to raise kids, usually low crime. And I think that they want to infiltrate some of these areas because it'll cause more terror. Because people think automatically, oh, well, if it could happen in that small town, it could happen in mine. Nobody's safe from these people. And that is why I believe that they are domestic terrorists. That's exactly what they are. And they should be named so. All right, let's go on now. Let's go. And here is, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be bringing you these Pelosi ones right before sleep. It probably enters your nightmares. I don't know. You probably have all sorts of terrifying dreams. And I hope it doesn't cause anybody to have a panic attack or something. I mean, oh, I know. I understand. This is my impression of her. Anyway, yeah, so let's look at this. During an interview with far-left news networks MSNBC on Monday, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi blasted Republicans, calling them enemies of the state and domestic enemies. The comments were quite alarming, considering the speaker has still not condemned the far-left rioters who have terrorized communities throughout the country over the past several months. No, they're okay. But it's these Republicans that are the domestic enemies of the state. Can you believe that? Really? We take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic, Pelosi said, and sadly the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue with their allies in the Congress of the United States. Well, Nancy Pelosi, who listens to anything you say? But again, let's just get out there, mobilize. Hang on, I think I missed something. I probably did. No, I didn't. But again, let's just get out there, mobilize, organize, and not let the president deter anyone from voting. And again, support the postal system, which is election central, she added. They're doing everything they can. Suppress the vote with your actions. Scare people. Intimidate by saying law enforcement will be there. Diminish the role of the postal system in all of this. It's really actually shameful, she said. Enemies of the state. Well, she should know. She should know. I think her face is an enemy of the state, personally. Really. I'm just saying. I mean, and what happened? Now her eyebrows have fallen back down to their normal place. Have you noticed that? What happened? I mean, her eyebrows were way up here. I guess she must be due for her Botox. All right, well, let's listen. Make it bigger for you tiny phone.
We take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue with their allies in the Congress of the United States. It's really actually shameful. Enemies of the state.
Yeah. Takes one to know one. Anyway, the only shameful person in this situation is Pelosi herself, considering she continues to put politics over the best interests of the American people. One example came earlier in the month when President Trump was forced to take executive action for the American people after Democrats in Congress stalled and failed to produce a coronavirus relief package. The executive order, which will be extremely beneficial to the American people, was immediately met with harsh backlash from Democratic leaders. During an interview, Pelosi had a total meltdown on CNN, saying that the order was absurdly unconstitutional. First of all, he is saying states have the money. No, they don't, Pelosi claimed. They have expenses from the coronavirus. They have lost revenue. Because of that, they are firing healthcare workers, first responders, teachers, and the rest, sanitation, transportation, because they don't have the money. Second of all, everything is left out. Our assistance to the schools, feeding the hungry, helping people who are going to be evicted. The president's moratorium, he just did a study to look at a moratorium. Something's wrong. Either the president doesn't know what he's talking about. Clearly his aides don't know what he is talking about, or something's very wrong here about meeting the needs of the American people at this time. Oh my gosh. Pelosi. She added, the fact is that whether they're legal or not takes time to figure out. I associate my remarks with what the senator who says they're unconstitutional slop. Right now, we want to address the needs of the American people. Yeah, right. Does she ever want to address the needs of the American people? No. Has she ever addressed the needs of the American people? No. All right. As my constitutional advisors tell me, they're absurdly unconstitutional. Gut right now, our focus, and that's a parallel thing. Right now, the focus, the priority has to be on, again, meeting the needs of the American people. I mean, she's a horrible speaker. And really, she's the Speaker of the House. Like, really? Yeah, I guess everybody else was absent that day. I don't know. I'm just saying. Not threatening, okay, whatever. Who knows what she's talking about? She doesn't even know what she's talking about. Oh, poor Pelosi. Poor Pelosi. She may be someday. Yeah, she may be someday. All right, let's look at this. From Pelosi to hurricanes. Well, not too much change there. One's about equal to the other. Yeah. All right. Gulf Coast braces for impact of back-to-back hurricanes. This is from today, hot and fresh. The White House approved Governor John Bel Edwards' request for a disaster declaration Sunday as Hurricane Marco closed in on southeast Louisiana. So glad I'm not living there now. Meanwhile, Tropical Storm Laura was expected to make landfall as a Category 2 or Category 3 hurricane in southwest Louisiana or southeast Texas on Wednesday. It could be the first Category 3 hurricane to hit Louisiana since Rita in 2005. We're going to get basically a right hook from Marco and a left hook from Laura, Edwards said. Marco is expected to bring heavy rain Sunday night into Tuesday, minor to moderate coastal flooding and gusts of damaging winds, including possible tornadoes, are predicted. Some of the heavy rain from Laura may fall in areas where the ground already is soaked from Marco, which increases the chance of flooding and trees getting knocked down. Heavy rain, major coastal flooding, and damaging wind are all expected from Laura, forecasters say. And don't think, oh, well, they'll be fine. They've fixed the levees. Yeah, okay, well, yeah, I used to live there. Anyway, Louisiana might have only a 12 to 18 hour window between storms, which will make search and rescue more difficult if necessary. Mandatory evacuations have been ordered for parts of Plaquemines, Lafourche, and Jefferson parishes. Residents who need help evacuating are urged to call their local emergency preparedness officials. And Benjamin Schott of National Weather Service said 2 hurricanes have never hit the same state within 48 hours of each other in modern meteorological history, calling the situation remarkably odd. Well, I think it's remarkably odd too. I wonder if those little hurricanes, well, not so little now. One of them is not so little at all. I wonder if they had some help. I'm just saying. All right, Edwards said Louisiana is more prepared now for a Category 3 storm than in years past. No, it isn't. Because of improvements to the state's storm protection systems. I never want to say that we know that we're 100% ready because we never know what Mother Nature is going to throw at us, he said. Edwards urged residents who evacuate to remember to bring hand sanitizer and face coverings. Give me a break. Give me a freaking break. You know, I've been in a hurricane before, and the last thing you're thinking about is hand sanitizer and face mask. Give me a break. These people sometimes have very, very little time to get their stuff together and flee. And, you know, worrying about a virus that kills way less than 1% of the people that contract it is, you know, really, in the grand scheme of things, very small. Anyway, the virus is not concerned that we have hurricanes coming. Right, okay. Yeah, they got to get that in there. Scare you about the you know, the COVID. You have to be scared about that while you're worrying about hurricanes. Fear, everybody, you know, be in fear. That's what they want. At 4 p.m. Sunday, Marco was about 240 miles southeast of the mouth of the Mississippi River, with sustained winds of 75 miles per hour. The National Hurricane Center, it said in its most recent update, as of publication, a hurricane warning was in effect from Morgan City to the mouth of the Pearl River. At the same time, Tropical Storm Laura was about 50 miles south of Guantanamo, Cuba, with sustained winds of 60 miles per hour. So if you are in the path of this, please stay safe and listen to, sometimes that it's best to evacuate, and sometimes it's not best to evacuate. And but if you are in a flood-prone area, get out. All right. Now, let's move down here and let's look at this. No, really, let's. Dems for mutilation. Well, they're for everything else. Why not female genital mutilation? Well, apparently they're all for that too. Democrat Sarah Gideon of Maine shot down legislation to ban female genital mutilation, calling it racist. Oh, really? It's racist to forbid, unqualified people from cutting the clitoris of young girls out with a razor blade? Gee, yeah, it's racist to ban that. I'm sure those girls love that. All right. Sarah Gideon, one of Joe Biden's supporters, well, that's not surprising, who made an appearance at a recent virtual Democratic National Convention in a far-left politician a far-left politician from Maine who many are unaware led the charge in her state to kill a legislative bill that would have outlawed a gruesome form of sexual abuse known as female genital mutilation. According to Gideon, it is racist to tell Muslims and black people from Africa, these being the two groups that mutilate female genitals the most, that they cannot sever the clitorises of their infant girls while sewing their vaginas closed. The tolerant thing to do, in Gideon's view, is to continue to allow the practice unabated. I wonder how she'd feel if somebody held her down and did that to her. Except for two outliers, Gideon and the Democratic colleagues uniformly shot down the bill, which was proposed by Maine Republicans. They decided that little girls do not deserve to maintain their female reproductive organs and should instead have them surgically destroyed if the cultures into which they are born dictate as such. Gideon, who was a Speaker of the Maine House of Representatives at the time, argued alongside other Democrats that it would be racist for the legislator to try to impose criminal penalties on those in Maine who engage in female genital mutilation. These would be mostly people from Somalia, where, according to the United Nations, female genital mutilation is nearly universal. Gideon's efforts have helped make Maine one of only 12 states that have not banned female genital mutilation, writes somebody that writes for the Free Beacon, whose name I cannot pronounce. Such a legacy threatens to complicate her cultivated image as a champion of women's rights, one built on her consistent support for abortion access and the Me Too movement. Yeah, well, I guess if she's all for abortion, then it's not too much of a stretch that she would find it fine to mutilate baby girls. Gideon's phony pro-woman image has garnered her hundreds of thousands of dollars in campaign donations. She also tried to push a different bill that, instead of banning female genital mutilation, would have funneled about $150,000 in taxpayer money from state coffers to education programs that teach Mainers about female genital mutilation. Oh, goody! Let's all join in. We can have female genital mutilation parties. Won't that be fun? This money would have gone to a group known as the Immigrant Resource Center of Maine, which is run by Fatuma Hussein, a personal friend of Gideon. This bill was designed to funnel money to Fatuma Hussein's Immigrant Resource Network so they could educate the Somali community on why, naughty, it's bad to cut your little girl's genitals, stated Republican state legislator Heather Cherokee. A survivor of female genital mutilation by the name of F.A. Cole testified before the Maine legislature in favor of the bill to ban female genital mutilation, only to be grilled and humiliated by Gideon and her Democratic colleagues. Cole actually ended up suffering from a panic attack as a result, and yet Gideon could not have cared less. I couldn't even breathe. That's how bad it was, Cole recalls, as she stood in the chamber hallway during a break, only to have Gideon pass by her coldly, not even acknowledging Cole or showing any concern for her suffering. But this woman just walked on by us as if I wasn't even a human being, Cole explained, and that told me a lot about the type of person Gideon is. She just doesn't care. Because of Gideon's successful killing of said Bill, Maine is now a safe harbor for mutilators of girls' genitals, according to Elizabeth Yore, an international child rights attorney. So much for Democrats like Gideon representing and supporting women's rights. For more related news, okay. All right. Well, isn't that special? I don't know how any human being could do that. I don't. I just don't. And I know you can say, oh, it's part of their culture. Yeah, I wonder how they'd feel if we held the males down and did something, mutilated their genitals. I wonder how long that would last. Not long. All right. Now, let's look at this. Peaceful protesters torch car dealership in Kenosha. Now, we just covered this about what was happening in Kenosha, but this is unbelievable. Democrat-sanctioned violence continues to rage across America, with the latest hotspot being in the key battleground state of Wisconsin. On Sunday, rioters took to the streets of Kenosha to loot, burn, and destroy following the shooting of a black man by police that went viral on social media and gave criminals a green light to engage in conduct that should not be tolerated in civilized society. Unfortunately for America, a decent society is under attack as Democrat governors and mayors. Okay, well, we know that. We know all of that is happening, but I wanted to show you this. It's a car dealership, and they torched it. How is this bringing justice for anyone? Really? I don't get it. So it says a little after 3. Okay, hang on. At 1:21, police formed a riot line and began moving into the park across the street from the courthouse. A few minutes later, a firework went off in the crowd. People continued to move through the city. Before 2:30 a.m., the live stream showed a truck had been set on fire in the parking lot of a car dealership on Sheridan Road, a few blocks from the courthouse. Other cars were set on fire, and occasional pops and explosions were heard as a fire burned through the lot, sending plumes of smoke into the sky. A fire truck arrived around 2:50 a.m. to begin to extinguish the blaze. A little after 3 a.m., the fire had spread to the Brantford Community Church, the marquee of which had read Black Lives Matter before being incinerated. Wow, how ironic is that? The men live streaming attempted to alert anyone inside the building but received no response, then tried to smother some of the flames using shovels while flagging down a lone fire truck that had arrived near the dealership. Unbelievable. So it says, rather than call for calm or to mobilize the National Guard, Wisconsin's Democrat Governor Tony Evers immediately took the side of Black Lives Matter and their fellow white anarchist criminals. Well, let's take a look at this. I'll make it bigger for you tiny phone people. Now, why do that? Really? Why?
Oh, the rest, I guess, there's been...
So there are people down the street now. They're all through the city now.
This is everywhere, guys. This is going everywhere in the whole city right now, apparently.
No, this is Kenosha.
Kenosha, Wisconsin, yeah.
So if you're from Wisconsin,
Oh, Kenosha, it's called.
You already know. You already know. What's up, Kirsten, LA?
people at home watching us right now.
Want to tune in to CJTV or Mercado Media?
Okay, well, that goes on for a while. But anyway, okay, according to Evers, I have said all along that although we must offer our empathy, equally important is our action. In the coming days, we will demand just that of elected officials in our state who have failed to recognize the racism in our state and our country for far too long. And just like that, another Democrat puts the official seal of approval on what some would call domestic terrorism. Yeah, I'm one of those. I'm one of those that would call that domestic terrorism because that's what it is. The black man who was shot is fighting for his life, and if he doesn't make it, get ready for the sequel to the nationwide George Floyd riots. Oh, I have no doubt at all that that is true. So let's go here and let's look at this. This is disgusting. I'm only going to be going for a few more minutes, but I do want to cover what I can here. All right. Black Lives Matter activist fantasizes about babies being strangled to death as crowds cheer for sick monologue. Now, this is from yesterday. Many on the left would have us believe that Black Lives Matter movement is bipartisan. According to them, Black Lives Matter is only about uplifting the black community and has no ulterior motives and no radical political agendas. Oh, really? A Black Lives Matter activist in Portland, Oregon, is one of the few cities still being ravaged by Black Lives Matter riots, gave the lie to that notion during a recent speech. In a video shared Monday on Twitter, the activist, speaking through a megaphone, expressed her desire to have police officers strangled in the womb with their own umbilical cords. Her morbid, unconscionable words were met with applause. Twisted Black Lives Matter activists in Portland describe a desire for wanting police officers to have been strangled by their umbilical cords at birth. She also boasts in the fact she is ready to shoot officers and disturbingly expressed a desire to see officers hung and electrocuted. Your mother's umbilical cord should have wrapped around your neck and choked you just the way you choked George Floyd, you filthy animal, she said. Not only should that umbilical cord should have wrapped around your neck, it should not have wrapped around your neck once. It should have wrapped around your neck 2 or 3 times. Should have wrapped around your neck so many times to where you yelled, "I cannot breathe," the woman said. Yeah, I don't see a baby saying that in the womb, but hey, well, she thinks whatever. The Black Lives Matter speaker then told her Marxist comrades that she was ready and willing to shoot police officers. You think that you're a good person because you have a gun? My comrades already know. I tell them every Thursday right there in their face, I know you got a gun, but so do I, she said. Go ahead and shoot me. I'm a shoot back. Am I lying, my comrades? You shoot me, I'm gonna shoot you back. The clip ends with the activist proclaiming that cops should be hung and electrocuted. They need to hang you high, not hang you low. They need to send you to the electric chair and let you fry like a piece of burnt bacon. So much for the left not supporting capital punishment. As horrendous as those last several murderous comments are, the activist's first few words on the killing of babies reflect a pro-infanticide position that has been embraced by many Democrats over the past couple years. In February 2019, congressional Democrats blocked a bill that would have forced doctors to save the life of babies who had survived abortions. They argued the bill was unnecessary given that it was already illegal to kill a newborn. Right. However, evidence shows that infanticide does in fact happen. According to a State Department of Health report, 3 babies died in Minnesota in 2018 alone after being born alive following failed abortions. The left-wing's pro-infanticide logic tracks. If a baby is just a bundle of cells while it's still in the mother's womb, that same baby doesn't magically have a right to live one second later when it's sitting on the operating table. So the passionate activist in Portland wasn't some crazed radical out of touch with the mainstream left. She was merely sharing some of the tenets of the Democrat Party. Well, there you go. So let's go back and see what we can touch on for the last. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it with this right here. And let's make this bigger for you tiny phone people. Okay, now look at this side by side. Both are from Kenosha, and one says racism has no place here. We support the black community. Meanwhile, all their windows are broken out. They don't care. They don't care if you support them or not. They're still going to, break windows, loot, riot, arson, burn things down. They want destruction. And over here, right by all of these burning cars, they have a sign that says Black Lives Matter. Well, Doesn't matter that this dealership supports them. They burnt it down anyway. So that is what we are dealing with. And these people don't make sense at all. It has nothing to do with Black lives at all. If they were collecting money, they should put it toward things like educating, you know, put it into scholarships and so forth, like things that could actually benefit the Black community. I think everybody would get behind that, but yeah, that's not what they're about at all. So I'm going to leave that there for tonight, and I will catch you in the next video. Now, it won't be tonight. This is the one and only for tonight, but I will be back. I'll always be back. So you guys have a wonderful evening. Sleep well, stay safe, stay happy too. You know what? There is so many horrible things happening in the world right now, but you can choose to be happy and content no matter your circumstances. It is a choice. So yeah, and you know what? If hearing the news is stressing you, get away from it for a day or two and do something good. Put good things in, you know. So that's it for tonight. I will talk to you guys later. Sleep well.